Coming up in both China and Indonesia, we see how Tzu Chi's charitable deeds have influenced recipients to pay the love forward. Next, we find out why, when visiting the temples in Wutai Shan, one should not miss the Foguang Temple. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. In China, Tzu Chi Care recipient Mai Taohuan of Dongguan has learned to pay the love forward from Tzu Chi volunteers by sharing her hen's freshly laid eggs with her neighbors, even though she struggles to make ends meet herself. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, North Jakarta's Padang Manggang Barat village was one of the key focus areas of Tzu Chi's poverty alleviation program, where the foundation, together with the Indonesian government, worked to repair several homes. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers returned to the area once again to check up on the residents.
Here in North Jakarta's Padang Manggang Barat village, poor infrastructure, dense living quarters and overcrowding makes the area highly vulnerable to disasters. In the event of a fire, the narrow alleys make it difficult for villagers to escape to safety. And as many houses are built on a steep terrain, residents experience flood every 2 to 3 days. We can still live here, but the situation isn't ideal because we have small holes in our roof and it leaks every time it rains. Because our home is built on a low-lying terrain, even when it's not raining, water from the gutter will flood through the toilet and into our home.
I'm overwhelmed with emotion. My home was also once flooded like theirs, and I could never get a good night's rest. While others were sleeping soundly in their homes, my home was inundated in water. It was Tzu Chi that helped me relocate to my current home, and now I sleep well every night.
Villager Ferry Ningsi met Tzu Chi in 2009, and it was with the help of Tzu Chi's poverty alleviation program that her family now has a safe and sturdy home.
We cannot thank the Tzu Chi Foundation enough for all the assistance we've received. We cherish all the help Tzu Chi has given us, because without them, we wouldn't have a safe home to live in.
Tzu Chi volunteers return to the village to check up on the residents and also to hand out close to 5,000 bamboo coin banks.
My next goal is to have Tzu Chi volunteers in every neighborhood and community, so that when someone falls ill, Tzu Chi can provide medical assistance more efficiently.
Tzu Chi's poverty alleviation program will continue to help these villages combat poverty and provide the means to a brighter future. 2 electric rice cookers and a hot water bottle is what 80-year-old Tzu Chi Care recipient Mai Taohuan uses to prepare her 3 meals each day. Tzu Chi volunteers are the solitary senior's most cherished friends because it is the volunteers who will check up on her health regularly and keep updated on her health.
The medication I took caused gastritis and stomach bleeding, so I was hospitalized.
Next to the grandma's home is a secret base.
Some of my neighbors don't have eggs to eat, so I share some of mine with them. But sometimes the hen only lays eggs once every 2 days.
Even in spite of her own poverty and suffering, Grandma Mai has not let life defeat her. Always willing to share a portion of what she has with others, it goes without saying that Grandma Mai leads a spiritually rich life.
Between November and March each year is Indonesia's monsoon season. The high rainfall during this time often leads to floods, especially in eastern Jakarta due to its low topography. To be better prepared in the event of future flooding, the local government recently called on disaster prevention and rescue units to participate in flood drills and simulations.
It is now the rainy season in Indonesia, and as East Jakarta is prone to flooding due to its low-lying terrain, the local government is carrying out a series of flood prevention drills to be fully prepared. Participants include the Indonesian Army, policemen, firefighters, traffic and health departments, as well as the local Red Cross and Tzu Chi.
These flood simulation exercises remind us that during times of disaster, we need to stick together. Local residents and the government need to work together collectively to solve the problem.
Buat saya sih sangat senang sekali.
We all join the emergency relief teams. These drills and simulation exercises helped us greatly as they better prepared us in the event of flooding. Furthermore, we will know which units to coordinate with.
The drill took place at the Jakarta Flood Canal, and exercises included rescuing drowning residents and putting out fires. Later, the mayor paid a visit to the participating organizations to thank them for their efforts.
Tzu Chi does a lot for our local residents. Not only do they step up in times of disaster, we can see Tzu Chi's contribution in other aspects as well. We are truly very thankful.
When it comes to avoiding potential disasters with preparation and prevention, the Indonesian government dares not let its guard down. Only through the combined efforts of the government and residents can the risks of future disasters be reduced.
According to a report by the United Nations Portal on Humanitarian Affairs, more than 14 million people in the Philippines were affected by last year's Typhoon Haiyan, including 1.4 million residents living along the coastline. To make sure those living along the coastlines are safe, the Filipino government has decided to grow 128 hectares of mangroves along the coastline of Tacloban City. However, can mangroves be used as revetment against the strong waves? Let's take a look in our next report.
A cargo ship swiped ashore, resting among debris and destroyed houses. This is Tacloban City following Typhoon Haiyan. Typhoon Haiyan not only destroyed the coastline, which was filled with lush green grass, but also the houses surrounding the area. A year has passed since the tragedy, and many have rebuilt their homes. However, many houses are still in bad shape. 8-year-old Caesar used to live close to the beach with his family. When Typhoon Haiyan struck, a massive wave washed into his home and took the lives of his parents and 2 younger siblings.
Caesar feels sad all the time. He misses his mother and father.
Unfortunately, nothing can bring back his family. According to an official report, 1.4 million households living along the coastline were affected by the disaster. This is 50-year-old fisherman Pepito, who lives along the coast near Tacloban City with his family of 7. Pepito says he never imagined that Typhoon Haiyan could whip up waves as high as 2-story buildings.
We will run for our lives if a typhoon struck again. We have to stay here because here is my source of income.
Following the disaster, Pepito received approximately $267 from the Tzu Chi Foundation. Thanks to Buddha's NGO, Pepito was able to purchase a new boat, which he named Sky Taiwan. By looking at the beautiful calm ocean, many tend to forget that sometimes nature strikes back.
According to the Filipino government, houses cannot be built within 40 meters of the coastal zone. However, as you can see, many buildings are still sitting right along the shoreline.
There are a lot of families still living in danger zones. When there would be disaster, they would be the first families to be hit by this kind of disaster.
This 78-year-old grandma who lives on the coast with her family lost her daughter to Typhoon Haiyan. Although a year has passed, the senior and her family are still living in a tent.
If a typhoon ever struck here again, I will listen to the government and evacuate.
Will the senior have time to run to safety when a strong wave hits the area?
We are challenged by the identification of 1,364 hectares of land. This is all over the corridor, across the Yolanda corridor.
As the Filipino government cannot relocate tens of thousands of residents living along the coastline, it has decided to grow mangroves near the shoreline instead.
This is bakawan lalaki, no?
This is already, I believe, more than 5 months old because of this number of leaves. No?
The government plans to grow 128 hectares of mangroves along the coastline of Tacloban City.
6 or 7 families.
6 to 7 families were saved because they grabbed onto the mangroves when Typhoon Haiyan struck the Philippines.
In a year's time, this mangrove tree will be as tall as a man. The Filipino government plans to grow mangroves along the coastline of Tacloban City to protect the area. As you can see, many residents are risking their lives by living along the shoreline.
Can the government guarantee the safety of residents by growing mangroves along the coastline? By looking into history, one can find the answer.
The goal of the Tzu Chi International Medical Association is to deliver quality medical care to those in need. In the United States, for the 4th consecutive year, the Tzu Chi chapter in Las Vegas hosted a community health day event where 200 residents of all ages and ethnicities got their health problem taken care of. But first, to Johor Bahru, Malaysia, where a team of volunteers visited a public housing community in Taman Daya to give residents a health checkup.
Though it is raining in Johor Bahru, Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers still go door to door to invite residents to take advantage of Tzu Chi's free health check. A week later, the medical volunteers returned to the public housing community to begin setting up for the free clinic.
I can take my children with me to more distant destinations. This is right here, so it's very convenient.
Most of the residents at Taman Daya public housing are Chinese, but volunteers make sure everyone receives the same service and translators are available when needed.
I think the doctors here are wonderful. They are very kind and explain things in details, such as how to take your medication.
There is also traditional Chinese medicine consultations available. For Dr. Liang Zhicheng, this is his first Fatima activity.
Though I grew up in a Christian family, I've been reading the Diamond Sutra lately and was particularly inspired by the verse, to give at all times.
This is Tima's second free clinic here, and volunteers can clearly see the urgency of imparting proper medical concepts in the community.
Some of them don't seem particularly fond of seeing a doctor. They rather just go buy something from a pharmacy and self-medicate, which is not good for them.
At the end, a total of 73 residents got checkups and went home more aware of how to care for themselves. Over in Las Vegas of the United States, the local Tzu Chi chapter is also hosting a free clinic. Students majoring in pharmacy are also here to help out.
We're able to help so many people and we're very happy to be here.
Today is my first time to come here and it's such a pleasure and I have so much fun.
Ni hao. I'm very glad to be able to come here and help out and everybody has been so nice to us.
Besides checking on blood pressure, glucose levels and offering hepatitis B screening, the clinic also offers flu shots and helps low-income families apply for medical care. The 200 residents come from various countries, including China, Hong Kong, and Vietnam. But here, they are all one family.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for caring for us overseas Chinese.
I was told by a friend that there is a free clinic going on here, so I decided to come. I'm very thankful for your free clinic. Amitabha.
Thank you to all the volunteers. This is a very meaningful event. Thank you.
Volunteers also took the opportunity to promote the idea of doing one good deed a day by contributing to a coin bank. And at the end of the event, many went home carrying a bamboo bank, hoping to continue the cycle of love.
The The temples of Wutai Shan are a favorite destination for Chinese and foreign tourists alike. With so many temples to choose from, however, visitors often give the Tang Dynasty Foguang Temple a miss. This is a pity, as the temple is one of the oldest wooden structures in China. Filled with statues and murals that date back to the Tang Dynasty, the temple has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, making it well worth a visit.
Before getting to Foguang Temple, visitors have to carefully ascend the almost vertical staircase. Once at the top, they come face to face with Foguang Temple, once a major temple during the Tang era, as shown by its inclusion in the Dunhuang murals. Rediscovering the temple in the 20th century were architect Tzu Chi and his wife Lin Hui-ying.
Japanese architect Ito Chuta traveled throughout China and India as part of his research into the origins and development of Eastern architecture. His conclusion was the oldest wooden temple still extant was Nara's Tosho Daiji Temple.
Japanese scholars of the time were proud of the fact that wooden structures dating back to the Tang Dynasty were still to be found in Japan. Looking to China, they said, the oldest wooden structure in the country only dated back to the Liao Dynasty.
The idea was difficult for Tzu Chi to swallow.
Below the slanted roof is empty and pitch black. Using the gaps between the eaves, I climbed up. There, I found dust inches deep. It was like walking on cotton.
The above was part of Tzu Chi's article, An Architectural Reflection on Mount Wutai's Foguang Temple, describing how he entered the temple's main hall for the first time. There, he and his wife found several bodhisattva statues whose thick lips, prominent noses, long eyes, and full cheeks clearly marked them as work from the Tang Dynasty.
3 Buddhas and 2 Bodhisattvas are lined up together, shoulder to shoulder, in a way that seems to eliminate any hierarchy between them. From this, you can see that the Tang was truly an all-inclusive era. He climbed up into the roof trusses inside the ceiling. There, he found that the structure used a technique called Da Cha Shou, triangular in appearance. There is no supporting pillar at its center. This is one of the characteristics of the Tang Dynasty architecture.
这是唐代建筑的一个特色。
Dougong brackets are another central feature of Chinese architecture. They are found between the top of a supporting column and the crossbeam above. They are formed using a double bow-shaped arm or gong, which supports a rectangular block of wood or dou on each side. Fixed together, layer upon layer of dou and gong work to bear the load of the roof.
In addition to being on top of the pillars, they are also found between the pillars. These dogong will expand outwards to then connect with those located above each pillar.
The astonishing symmetry and effectives of the dogong has for centuries preserved Foguang Temple and the history within.
Recently in Banqiao, New Taipei City, a volunteer training seminar concluded with many elderly volunteers gaining much wisdom from the seminar. Following, we meet 2 senior volunteers who have not let age get in their way in their determination to walk the Tzu Chi path. Every morning, 82-year-old Tzu Chi volunteer Chen Xiudeng heads over to the Tzu Chi Banqiao grounds to watch Master Zhen Yan's morning teachings.
At the master's age, she is still out there every morning enlightening us, so we should be as diligent as her in learning from her wisdom.
Not letting her age be a hindrance in her determination to recruit more like-minded people. In the past 2 years, Chen has found more than 20 of her friends to join as Tzu Chi volunteers.
My friends or community members can see my devotion. I will call each on the phone and invite them to Tzu Chi events. I just do the best that I can within my ability.
Known in the past for easily flying off the handle, Jian Shuhui has curbed her temper since joining Tzu Chi.
Besides giving vent to anger is temporary insanity, so I try to steady my temper and not give into the temptation. By gaining Dharma from the Master, I have slowly changed my ways.
Jian is always there to lend a hand, whether it is in Sansha with the prefabricated homes or helping to package Qingsi products.
I'm fortunate that I have a healthy body to be able to give wholeheartedly. The Master often reminds us that we need to seize the moment to do good deeds.
Walking steadfast on the Bodhisattva path, these volunteers from Banqiao are surely setting a good example for others to follow. As part of the Tzu Chi class curriculum, teachers design games and activities to teach students how certain tasks can only be accomplished by working as a team. Next, let's take a look at how Taiwanese and Hong Kong Tzu Chis fared in learning such important lessons. The goal of this game is to be the fastest team to deposit red beans into each of your team members' cup.
After we separated into groups, we made sure to give one bean to each team member. This way, no one was left out. In the end, this was something everyone worked on together to accomplish. A Tzu Chi class in Hong Kong learns how to solve problems by working together. The story of good versus evil also stands as a reminder for the students to choose the right path in life.
Some people will walk down a crooked path for personal gain.
I think it's hard to have a positive mindset when dealing with difficult situations, but if we can learn from such obstacles, then we can increase our wisdom.
Learning lessons outside of textbooks, these Tzu Chis of Hong Kong are putting such lessons to good use in life. Meanwhile, at the Taipei Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan, Tzu Chi class students are also playing some games that require teamwork.
I've learned how to work in a group and how I can help others and be of use to someone during their difficulties in life.
Helping to make sure the activity runs smoothly are the Tzu Chings who have put much effort into today's event.
In life, we may encounter many hurdles that we need to overcome. The obstacles in these games are like the obstacles in life. So when we encounter problems, we can use resources to help us come up with a solution.
Relishing in the parent-child bonding experience, one parent reflects on the lessons she has learned in the class.
Just like I was telling my son 2 days ago, we have been attending class for so long. Isn't it time for a change? I will use a gentle tone to speak to you. Meanwhile, you also need to change your behavior as well.
Mutually benefiting from these Tzu Chi classes, both parent and children gain wisdom to last them a lifetime. To prepare for the graduation ceremony, the teachers from Malaysia's Penang Tzu Chi Kindergarten invited their students to spend a night away from home at the Jingsi Hall. Under the guidance of teachers, the students prepared food for a gratitude banquet and decorated the venue perfectly. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching our program. See you next time.